I started researching history because when I came across the Du Bois exhibition, it opened up the idea that I can have a hand in history. I can do my own research and add to the narrative as opposed to this archive being finite, and it is what it is. I was believe I was at American University, one of the universities I teach at, and a PhD candidate who's also an artist was talking about a play that a Yale University student did on this washerwomen strike in 1881. And I was immediately fascinated because of the time period. So in 1881, on the heels of a variety of strikes that was happening since 1870 during the economic crash, there's a spring of strikes and protests by laborers to get higher wages and more job security. Inside this pocket was these washerwomen in Atlanta, these domestic workers, laundresses. So they worked in people's homes and they did their laundry. It's quite an interesting job because there's a certain amount of autonomy. They can take the clothes home and work from home and just bring them back. But also it was a quite dangerous job. You're coming off the heels of slavery, so a lot of people did not accept the freedom of labor that Black people had. So working inside people's homes that weren't subscribing to the new autonomy of Black people had in occupations, it could be quite dangerous. So the 200 washerwomen went on strike against Atlanta, to the city of Atlanta and employers and companies. Like, we want higher wages and safer working conditions. They inspired other laborers and other industries to go on strike and fight for their rights too. So it spawned this wave of laborers starting unions and going to strike. My interest in American history is different from the Black perspective, but it's more about resistance. When people are oppressed in a variety of ways, regardless of what race or gender they are, especially if they're not free, your whole life is resistance. You're just living and surviving, getting married is resistance. You being happy and having kids is a form of resistance. So I've just been fascinated by the different strategies people have employed to survive. And it goes back to these portraits, ordinary people doing extraordinary things. The core of my project is Atlanta Washerwomen. I am expanding out to focus more on Maryland and Baltimore domestic workers. So the research will be taking place at Easton, and making these pieces will be taking place at Easton. So far, the pieces are going to be at least 6 feet tall. I am working on possibly having sculptures in there, washing bins, clothespins, some artifacts regarding laundresses and domestic work. Interesting enough, what I'm hoping to explore in my residency at Easton is one of these large collages of these women, these 4 women that would tell the narrative of domestic workers in Maryland and Baltimore and in part Atlanta. The Washerwoman Project, like the laundresses of washing the clothes and soaking the clothes in the solution to clean them and drying them, that mimics my process for making these transfer pieces. I put glue and inkjet prints that I print out. When the glue dries, I peel it off, so then I have a copy of the ink on the glue. So my process, I'm starting to link to the process of the washerwoman. So I think about my work in relationship to domestic work. So I've been thinking a lot about the dignity and humanity in labor. What does that mean? The type of job you have, what does that mean for your status in society and how people think of you?